Welcome to the Long Dog Wool tutorial on how to make the Daughter of Dragons scarf. In this video, we will be looking at section 1 of the pattern. This is the very first section that you do, and it's only done once. So what I have is my yarn, which is fingering weight or lace weight yarn. I've beaded it with 5 beads to start with, because having 21 on there is often too much, so I tend to break it, rebead it, and magic knot tie it, which I'll talk about later. I've got my 3.5 millimeter Furls Odyssey hook, and I'm ready to start. So you're gonna make your slip knot any way that you normally would to start any project. Put your hook through and tighten it up. First thing you're gonna do is 2 chains. All right, and then you're gonna slip one of your beads all the way up as close as you can get it to the hook. And this is where you want to keep your tension as tight as possible to avoid a large loop of yarn and a big hang on the bead. So get that bead as tight to the hook as you can, hold the stitches below it, and do 2 more chains as tight as you can, keeping your tension tight there. And then you're going to do a slip stitch into the very first chain that you did. And you end up with a little loop to hang the bead from. And that's how you begin this. Now I'm going to switch to a thicker yarn because to demonstrate this scarf on this very thin yarn, you won't see the stitch definition enough, and I'm going to do it without the beading. But welcome back. I've switched to a thicker wool. It's a worsted weight wool with a 5 millimeter hook. You wouldn't use this to make the scarf because it won't have the drape and elegance of the finer yarn. But the finer yarn, the camera doesn't pick up the stitch definition well, so I'm going to demonstrate these sections with this thicker wool, just so you can see it better. For this, I'm going to demonstrate without beading, and if you're starting this without beading, you don't do the chain 2, bead, chain 2 slip stitch. You leave that off, and you just start with 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. That 4th chain, that last one, is actually your turning chain. So you'll work into the 3 chains. So your first row, you're going to do a half double crochet into the 2nd chain from the hook. So you go into that one and you just do that half double crochet in the 2nd chain from the hook. For the next stitch, you're going to do a half double crochet increase, which means 2 half double crochets into the same stitch. That's all the increase is. And for that last chain, it's just a half double crochet, into the last chain. So now you have 4 stitches, half double crochet increase, which gives you 2, and a half double crochet. When you're starting out, this first section can get confusing to know which row you're working on and which way you're going. Once the shape takes place, it's more intuitive. For now, you might want to use a row counter or stitch marker to remember. So that's row 1 complete. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn and do row 2. So the chain does not count as a first stitch in this section. So you're going to do a half double crochet in the very first stitch, and then you're going to do a half double crochet increase in each of the next 2 stitches. And a half double crochet increase is just 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. So in that 2nd stitch, we're going to do 2 half double crochets. And then in the next stitch, we're going to do the same, 2 half double crochets. And then in the final stitch, we're just going to do a half double crochet. So now you should have increased to 6 stitches from 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So row 2, you've increased from 4 stitches to 6 stitches. Chain 1 and turn, and we're going to do row 3. Now, row 3 talks about the 3rd stitch from the end. And the reason we don't give exact stitch numbers is because every row will increase, and then fin changes will decrease. So we can't give exact stitch numbers because then you'd have to write out every single row of the pattern, and that would drive you crazy and me crazy. So what we talk about is the 3rd stitch from the end for row 3. So you count 1, 2, 3. So up till then, you just do a half double crochet in each stitch until that 3rd one from the end. So half double crochet in the first stitch, half double crochet in the second stitch, half double crochet in the third stitch, and now I'm at the third from the end. So what I want to do in this one is a half double crochet increase just in that stitch. So I'm going to do 2 half double crochets in that third stitch from the end, from that end. And then in every stitch remaining in the row is just a half double crochet in each one. There's 2 left in this row. And that's row 3. And we're going to chain and turn. Now, row 4, 5, 6, and 7 is a straight repeat of rows 2 and 3. And row 8 is a repeat of 2. So you keep alternating rows 2 and 3 until you finish row 8. And as it starts to take shape, it'll start to become more intuitive where your increases are, because they're in different places on the odd rows and the even rows, which is how we get the vortex. So now we're going to repeat row 2, and this will be row 4, but it's a repeat of row 2. So you chain 1 and turn. You half double crochet in the very first stitch, and then you do a half double crochet increase in each of the next 2 stitches. So that means 2 half double crochets in the next stitch. Whoa. And 2 half double crochets in the stitch after that. So now in the first 3 stitches of the row, you have 5 stitches. And then you do a half double crochet in each stitch to the end. And there you have the end of row 4, which is a repeat of row 2. We chain 1 and turn, and we now do a repeat of row 3. And this is where you again count 3 from the end. So 1, 2, 3. That's where you're going to do your double crochet, your half double crochet increase. So you might want to use a stitch marker there to help you remember when you get to it, especially as the rows get longer. But for now, we're going to do a half double crochet in each stitch until we come to that one. And now I'm at that third stitch from the end. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do a half double crochet increase in there, which means doing 2 stitches in the one. And then half double crochet in the next stitch and half double crochet in the last stitch. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stitches. Now I'm going to turn again. You can see I've got row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So row 6 is again a repeat of row 2. So the evens are always evens, the odds are always odds, which is a good way to help you remember. When you're using the very tiny yarn, it is much harder to see the row definition in this first section. So you will want to use a stitch counter and or stitch markers. So now I'm going to repeat rows 2 and 3 2 more times, and then row 2 1 more time. So I've done my chain 1 and turn. I'm going to half double crochet in the first stitch, and then half double crochet increase in each of the next 2. And then half double crochet in each stitch to the end. Chain 1 and turn. And now we're going to repeat row 3, which means count the third one from the end. 1, 2, 3. That's where you're going to do your increase. And now you can see the vortex starting to take shape. It's starting to go more that way. So now we're going to chain 1 and turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got 7 rows, which means there's 1 row left to finish this section. And that's another repeat of row 2. So you're going to go into the first stitch and then half double crochet increase in the next 2 stitches. And then you're just going to half double crochet to the end. Make sure you do get into that last stitch at the end to give it that nice shape. So there you've got section 1 of the Daughter of Dragons finished. So this is that same section now done on the fingering or lace weight yarn, and you can see the difference. One is having a very lovely drape and one is very stiff. So this is what it will look like at the end of the section if you're using the right sort of yarn.